Kiran, namaste. Hello.
Namaste, how are you?
Very
Oh, so nice to see you. Namaste.
nice to see you. Where are you?
Still, I'm in Boston.
Oh,
Still one more week to go.
Okay.
Yeah. How are you, Radheji?
Hi, you're doing well. How about you?
Yeah, I'm good, Radheji. Thank you so much. last meeting I missed because I was out. Yeah.
Okay. Well, no problem. I think we're going to use this meeting, the first part, just to do a little catch up and update. So
Right.
Everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
Hi, Eric.
Morning.
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 How are you doing? Let's see, you're not home yet.
I'm home. I'm home.
Right?
I got home last evening, yesterday night. Yeah.
Good. Don't know if Seema will be joining or not.
Okay.
Radhe, can you just guide us into the update, what we are planning to do, something, our discussions, and so we could be kind of updated. Maybe Seema will join, it would be good that she would be also updated. But we are recording our session, so it's fine. It should be okay.
Okay, and let me just get to share. So just let me know when you can see
yeah, we see
the slide. So yeah, what we thought would be helpful is that over the last couple of weeks there's been multiple meetings, actually over the last month, the HP, a few other individuals outside of this immediate team that had some interest and input. So we just thought it would be helpful to kind of walk through where we are and kind of where we're going, just to make sure that everybody's up to speed with the latest discussions. So this is, I just put together a short series of slides that really reflects the most recent discussions that we've had with HP. Hi, Seema.
Hey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're just gonna. Good. We were just starting to go through a quick update on where we're at as a team and some of the latest discussions that we've had with HP and other team members, and kind of taking a look at what's ahead of us in terms of the projects. What I wanted to do here is just kind of walk through 4 or 5 slides and then have some discussion as we go or at the end. So the first thing that we reviewed with HP is the immediate team here that's focused on developing the software and the particular course modules. And we are very excited and thrilled to let you all know that Eric has decided to join us full time, beginning the first of the year. And so this will give us more momentum in developing these courses, and also, Eric, the knowledge, what we're calling the central knowledge bank. So we really welcome Eric. We are thrilled that you're on board, and believe that we can really make some good progress, and many ideas and thoughts that Eric has brought to the team. So
nice.
Welcome full time, Eric.
Congratulations, Eric.
So I think everyone but maybe Seema has seen this. I don't know, Seema, if we've shown you kind of the overall approach that we're taking to these course modules, but we're really developing it around the mother's symbol, with connections through the faculties of consciousness to our everyday activities. And so in doing this, there are 4 main modules that we have identified. One, the joy of self-discovery. And actually, let me ask you, Seema, have we gone through this with you before?
No, I have not seen this. I've seen a version of it,
Okay.
but not this one.
Okay. So it probably is pretty similar to the one that you saw, but again, kind of 4 course modules. The first having to do with the very inner circle of the mother's symbol, which has to do with her 4 powers and personalities, right? And their projections into manifestation. One can look at Maheshwari and her projection of knowledge and compassion as the mind. I mean, obviously not equivalent, but one can see that this is correlated to the mind at the level of manifestation. Mahashakti, I mean Mahakali, in terms of strength and effective force, as being our life force. Mahalakshmi, harmony, love, and delight, as being the heart. And then Mahasaraswati, beauty and perfection and work of the body. So our thoughts is that we can take these 4, mind, life force, heart, and body, and develop courses around understanding the different levels of our being, including the centermost, which would be the true self, including the unborn and the born itself. And so there would be a series of courses around each of these, and understanding what each of these, what the type of consciousness that relates to each of these, the body, the mind, the heart, and the life force, and developing that consciousness in a variety of ways, and kind of how to unmix what is currently a very mixed consciousness of these coming together. So this is some courses that Vladimir has already started to give at our Sunday events on levels of being and consciousness, is what he's called it, and has been giving 2 or 3 kind of overviews of these 7 planes of consciousness, and now kind of beginning in on each of these. So I think there's a lot that we can take from his courses that are being recorded and available to you all. Let me know if you haven't gotten the link to them, but that'll give us kind of a starting point on this particular group of modules. And then, of course, abundance through the 12 living principles. We move out to the outer circle of Mother's symbol and these 12 qualities, or what we're calling living principles, and developing workshops around those. The third would be developing faculties of consciousness. So these are kind of the gray arrows of the mind and thought, word speaking, sound and hearing, the heart and feeling, body and sensation, sight and seeing. So separate module that would approach each of these and how to develop them. And I guess what I see in this picture may or may not reflect it appropriately, but I see these as really channels of expression, right? Channels of expression through which these innermost qualities of the psychic can flow through and come forward through the various levels of our being, the physical, the mental, the vital, and as well as more subtle, there are more subtle aspects that do come from higher consciousness, right? So whether it's that revelation or inspiration or intuition or discrimination, right? So we'll kind of, I see them being approached in 2 different ways, but both as channels of expression, and both kind of coming out and being able to influence and impact our everyday life, right? Whether it's our work, our family, etc. And that really brings us to the final module, Applied Spirituality in Everyday Life, where we'll take different areas of life, right? And we'll talk about how to apply these concepts of integral yoga into our life, right? So to make it as practical and applicable as possible, the principles of integral yoga. So these are the four. We've had a couple recommendations or suggestions of others that we might include. So we will certainly take those into consideration as we move forward. But these are the four that I think everybody feels very comfortable with in moving forward. And then each of these, we have three components. So will be an explore component, which is the actual knowledge relating to that particular topic or area of life and related inner technologies. There'll be an engage, in which there will be the opportunity for the individual to apply or experience that particular principle or knowledge through activity. And then the empowerment, kind of the wrap up or the end section, where there will be time for reflection and sharing and integrating what's been experienced and what has been kind of learned through the two previous steps. So this is kind of the core, and what we want to do with these three is first of all, the module that HP would like us to focus on first is the abundance through the 12 living principles. All right, so we'll take this set of modules first, and we'll apply this explore. We'll develop this explore section, which will include content, multimedia, and also inner technologies. These will be kind of the three components. And Vladimir and I just put down under each of these some examples of what would be gathered and collected and integrated under each of these. So I'll just go through a couple here, but for the content, any quotes from Sri Aurobindo and the mother that is applicable. We certainly want to use storytelling as part of this and gathering those stories from the ancient scriptures, whether that's the Veda, Upanishads, Gita, etc. So any stories, scriptural stories that relate to the particular topic. And this is specific to the 12 living principles. Expression through the various planes of consciousness and or through its faculties. So this will be a very close tie-in to the other two course modules, the planes of being and consciousness, or the joy of self-discovery, and the development of our faculties. And this, just by way of an example, we've come across a couple quotes from the mother on one or two of these qualities, in which she describes how these qualities, such as aspiration, comes through or is expressed on the physical, the body, how it's expressed through the vital, how it's expressed through the mental, and then how it's expressed through the psychic. So where we can bring this concept in through the living principles, we'd like to do that, and or obviously how they're expressed through thought, through feeling, through touch, etc. We'll include the importance of the color. Each of these living principles, as you know, has a very specific color assigned by Sri Aurobindo and a flower assigned by the mother. So we want to dwell on this and develop kind of the understanding behind the color and the flower. Transition to and from other principles, as well as the relationship that each of these principles has to the particular power or personality of the Divine Mother or Divine Shakti. And then look at other traditions, right? If we're doing something on peace or on generosity or on humility, right? What are some of the approaches that other traditions have taken, and what can we learn from them and incorporate in? And then and this is not lastly, because there's a whole, many other things we can include under here, but also talking about not only what it is, but what it is not, that particular principle. So these are just some ideas of some obvious things that we will want to collect and work through and structure as part of the content portion of the course, as well as any multimedia. So whether it's various YouTubes, modern movies, music, drama, etc. We want to make sure that we have any some multimedia approaches in each of these. And then the inner technologies, which is still part of the explore. And, you know, we need to identify these and understand how they can be used to really connect us with a particular living principle, and how they can be taken, these technologies can be taken back into the person's everyday life as a practice, as something that they can continue to work with relative to a particular principle. So here I've just listed a couple: mindfulness, introspection, mirroring, pranayama. These are all needing to be specifically identified and matched with a particular principle. And then the engage, which we've talked about, and we'll continue to talk about because it's probably the most important part of each of these workshops, will be now how to engage the person in activities that can demonstrate these particular principles. And as we go through these modules, this will be helpful for us understanding what sort of activities we have to plan for at LaGrasse. And I think what we want to do is have for each one a variety, right? So if we're, you know, looking at courage or looking at humility, what sort of outdoor or even creative activities can that person engage in to bring out that particular principle? You know, or if we're talking about peace, or we're talking about gratitude. So this is something that needs to be fleshed out still. And then the final, which we just spoke about, is that empowerment, which is time for reflection, for sharing, and really what I just call personalizing, which means, you know, taking what's been learned and taking the technologies and activities and reflecting on how these can be taken back and incorporated into one's personal lifestyle and personal life situation. So that's what I'm calling personalizing. I'll just continue through because there's just a couple more slides and then we can have some discussion. So the other priority is this development of the central knowledge bank, which I think everybody has seen Eric's demonstration of it, including HP. And the way we see this and are beginning to kind of define this is that one, it will hold components of all course modules. Two, it will include any marketing collateral, right? So as we get ready to launch a particular module or offer it to the public, here at LaGrasse, it will be particular marketing collateral materials, maybe short Vimeo videos on introducing the particular course, you know, email notifications, etc. All this would go kind of in a marketing collateral. And I guess, Kieran, in your situation in terms of, you know, the university, this will be thought of as, you know, slightly different, but anything that's being used to define the course, to introduce the course to students or potential students would go into this particular database section. And then an e-library is something we've always wanted to develop and just have never had the tools to do it, which the Central Knowledge Bank now allows us to do, is to have a place in which we can start to store and to organize resources that anyone can access, or that we can define who can access which areas of it. So this would include the PDFs of all the collected works of Sri Aurobindo, the Mother, the many YouTubes that our devotees from Pondicherry, Shadalu, Dr. Pandi, Navid has done, can go in here, and again in a very organized way. Vladimir has been working with the group in Auroville to digitize Mother India, which would allow people to go in and search, right, by word the last, well, since inception, which I think it's about 50 years that we have, if not more, Mother India. The people in other centers would have access to this. And so it would just, and it, you know, if there's any research that's being done. So it's really a wonderful place that we've tried to consider developing, and again, just never had the tools like this database. And then, you know, there are many others, but another one that Eric has identified and done some work around is market intelligence. So for us at La Crosse, market intelligence really means what are other retreat centers doing, who's speaking, what particular courses are popular and being offered, what is the pricing of these courses, what's the pricing of the lodging, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, this is kind of a one-stop place where we can go in and very quickly understand what's going on in the marketplace. And it can also include their marketing pieces. So I think, Kieran, for you, this market intelligence, we'll need to hear how, what would be helpful for you from our university's perspective to have in this particular category. And or, you know, are there other sections that we're not mentioning here that might be helpful? So this is the very preliminary stage that will take a lot of time to kind of flesh out each of these. But, you know, if Karen, from your perspective, you can be thinking about and letting us know what hasn't been included here that would be very helpful from your perspective. And then of course, you know, as this is being built and developed and unfolding, this will allow access from various centers and also encourage collaboration. And then, you know, what's next? Now what do we do? So we've committed to HP, we being Vladimir and Eric and I, for two deliverables short term. One is a white paper on the Central Knowledge Bank, which Eric will be coming down for a week and spending time with us to really help develop the scope, a project plan, a cost benefit, etc. A full white paper on this so that we can get commitment from HP to go forward with the spend that will be required in order to develop this central knowledge base. This is going to be critical for the work that we do. I think we all know that. So, you know, it's important that, you know, each of us kind of contribute to this white paper. And I think, Kieran, we want to make sure that we include the benefits for our university and for Sales C in this. So this again will be something that we'll be reviewing in detail with you and making sure that we include kind of your comments, your perspective, your needs on this. So I think the more that we can show the benefits of not only these workshops but the central knowledge bank, the more that HP will understand the real benefits of these projects, that they're very leverageable across multiple organizations. And then we've also committed to completion of the first workshop, which we will do on sincerity by the end of Q1, March 31st. So we've got about 3 months. And obviously, when we say completion, these courses will continue to evolve and unfold and be refined, but kind of the first working module populated into the central knowledge bank, so we can demonstrate how any instructor, any speaker, including HP, can go in, and if they're giving a talk or a workshop or a course on sincerity, how they can use the central knowledge bank and the way it's been populated to develop their own their course according to their needs. So it'll be important time also to demonstrate kind of in a very, very real, tangible way how this knowledge bank will help multiple constituencies. The other thing I just put down here, but Vladimir, I kind of look to you to help flesh this out because you've developed clearly more workshops than probably anybody else here, but in just thinking about the next steps, you know, in towards developing this first workshop, there's the need to develop the overall approach, the course objectives, the learning outcomes, etc. So we want to kind of take an overall look at our objectives. We have started to gather and deposit in Google Drive folders that Vladimir has set up existing materials that we have on sincerity. I know Vladimir has a tremendous amount of material that he's accumulated over the years. I have some that I've started to gather over the last 6 or 8 months. So anyone, as we come across potential movies, quotes from Shri Aurobindo and the Mother, stories, whether those are modern stories or stories from the scriptures, this will be a place that you can deposit these, and it will allow us to begin to work through. And I think that what Vladimir will also do is set these same Google Drive folders up for each of the principles, so that if you're reading something about aspiration that you think would be useful, you can go in and deposit it. And we might even, I don't know, Eric, I guess we'll have to talk to you. It might even be that we could be populating this into the central knowledge base sooner rather than later. So we'll have to work through that with you and see if that's possible. And then really just beginning to develop as a team the workshop and populating the central database. So I would, Vladimir, again, I would just ask if maybe you could talk a little bit more on how you see this next 3 months unfolding in terms of developing these workshops.
Well, yes, it was great to give this kind of overview what is to happen now. I think it's very clear already, from all this. It's put into the mental structure, which is quite doable and like a working plan or something. And of course, from the point of view of these varieties or the qualities, the life principles like sincerity, we also discussed this, that we would like to deepen the very knowledge of these, not just to collect stories and so to say speak about them, how the Mother and Sri Aurobindo viewed them, and then try to apply them through activities and then integrate in our life, but also going deeper into the very psychology of this particular quality. We had this idea of, you remember, of viewing this quality through other qualities. For example, where sincerity is shining through in the other qualities like fidelity or truthfulness or loyalty and so on and so forth. There are many other qualities which could kind of include or have one constituent. The sincerity must be there for these other qualities to be. And so we could also create this bank of connections, or the whole kind of network where this sincerity is present through other qualities as a first step, so we can widen the scope of understanding of sincerity, not just staying with it a separate quality, but really widen and see in more applications in our inner life, not yet applied to anything, not yet even coming to the faculties of consciousness, but within its own realm, as it were. Yes, this is the first step. We spoke about this. It was a good idea. Maybe I will find this somewhere. I even made some notes on it. Sincerity applied. Here I made some notes. Let me project this, that may help. Here it is. I was just making first notes for myself. So if the first application would be just to find sincerity in all these other qualities, You can also add to this list. If you see where sincerity is indispensable or if it is shining through, it is shining through all of them. Without sincerity, no other quality is ever possible. Yeah? Sincerity is present in humility. It is the first thing which is determining humility. Without sincerity, there is no humility. And we have to look into it because this is exactly how it works, functions, and then how it is present in next one, in the gratitude. Sincerity, with gratitude without sincerity is impossible. So and so on, in aspiration, and even in courage. You can't be courageous really if you're not sincere. So even the opposite quality, sincerity and courage, are totally opposite, as it were. But still, it requires sincerity to be there. But I was taking more like synonymous usage, like psychological tranquility. For example, tranquility is another, fidelity, all those, diaphaneity, all these terms, they are synonymous to sincerity. We have to widen the vocabulary. We have to include other kind of forms to explain what sincerity is and how it is understood by us, how it is applied in our inner life. This is the first step, so to say, sincerity, and then this kind of flower of all possible inner applications or inner translations of this quality. And then application of this to our faculties of consciousness. The sincerity or fidelity or tranquility in speech, in thought, in feeling, emotions, in looking for something, and search, in research, looking for something, or in hearing, listening, deeper listening, understanding, comprehending, all, and with all the shades, not just sincerity, but also other, like frankliness, to be friendliness, all these other modalities where sincerity is a part of. And in meditation, in concentration, in actions, so to say. And then application to our life in communication and relationship. That's what we're in, work and activities, etc., etc. We had to add one more, how it is in different traditions, like in other religions, in other philosophies, in other systems of knowledge, and then Radhe added in economics, in politics, how all that is seen or plays its roles. It's a very, very important, the last part, although first is in communication and relationship, it is still second person inquiry. So let us do like this. If sincerity, fidelity, or these kind of synonyms, it's the closest to sincerity, then it's a little farther away with faculties. It is still first person inquiry, all these first three. Then in communication, relationship, in work and activities, in relation to others, it is second person inquiry. And finally, we look at it as it works in all domains, independently from us being involved, as it were, third person inquiry, in politics, in economics, in different systems of knowledge, and so on and so forth. This is a good idea, to separate this into three sections, or three different major approaches: first person, second person, and third person inquiry method. Is it quite clear what I want to say? Most probably it is.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, this is the only thing which new emerged, and I think we can follow this and populate, or kind of fill the knowledge bank in this manner. If we have this particular movement from first person inquiry to the third, from the innermost to the outermost, we will have some kind of method which we can use for all other qualities and for all other faculties or in their development. More subjective, more relational, and finally
You
objective.
know, Vladimir,
Hmm?
this is reminding me, Vladimir, of some other work we did several months ago, where we tried to take each of these qualities, let's say gratitude, right, and talk about how from not the psychic perspective, right, fidelity, truthfulness, or whatever it is for gratitude, but from the ego's perspective, right? How does the ego hijack these and veil kind of the true inner quality, right? So I think one of the examples that we said in gratitude would be, we're very grateful to you for helping us fund this particular project, for example, right? So there's kind of this exchange. We are grateful for you because we received something from you, right? Which is a very egoistic way of approaching it. And so I think it's important. We stumbled a little bit in trying to go around and each of them and actually kind of work through it. But I'd really love to put that work back on the table and see if as a team we can do, because this is kind of when we say what is it and what it is not. This is part of what is it not.
Very good.
Each of these principles, and yet most of us will think of it as being grateful because somebody has done something for you. And this is just one example. So I think that would be nice also to include in here. And
yes, of course, this shining of the psychic with its proper values, yes, which are sincerity, humility, gratitude. Gratitude is a pure psychic power, yeah, which is shining through the psychic being of Anandamaya Purusha, directly from the source of this delight. The divine delight finds its form of gratitude. And this, of course, that delight is wanted by all the lower members. They all want it. Yeah? They wanted that enjoyment. So what they do, of course, Vital will hijack it and will start making out of it something else for itself, because it wants to have it. It wants to have this profound ananda, joy of being, because these are pure leaps, are pure joy, yeah, of our existence. So they all hijack. Mind is hijacking it, building concepts around it and culture around it. It wants to have it in every possible way and makes it dogmatic, makes it like a law of proper behavior, like, you know, this kind of, if you don't say thank you, you're not good, you say thank you. So this is the mind, yeah. And then there is the Vital which knows how to, you know, to creep in and to look like grateful to get some benefits for itself. We know this, you know, and of course to examine it and to see how it happens is really a lot of fun also. And also it helps to distinguish what is real kind of quality and value and what is so to say secondary, or the shadow of it, or the application of it to the lower members. And they can't do it otherwise. They can only imitate it to have it. Yeah? So they are not to be blamed for that. Yeah? They are to be seen as they are, and we have to understand what they're trying to do and maybe help them to achieve more quality rather than, you know, discard them from the beginning. I was used to do this. I was always kind of blaming them for that they are mimicking and hijacking the qualities, but they can't do but that. Yeah, they should follow the psychic. They have to bring the psychic influence into themselves, so they will be doing it. But we can help them to become more and more pure in their intentions and purify their substance by the psychic light in them, kind of concentrating more on the psychic value and allowing them to be peaceful and receptive of these qualities of the psychic being. So it's a very good proposition to do this. On the top of these first, second, and third person inquiry, we have the whole frame, and then we see how it is changing, how it is psychologically being modified by our lower members of consciousness. Yeah. Thank you for this addition. Yeah, if you have some ideas, please share with us, Kiranji and Eric and Seema. Please go ahead.
Yeah. The Radhe ji, whatever she, explained and presented was crystal clear. Although, I was present there in previous presentation, so I got it very clearly. The best part is, creating knowledge bank, and this is tremendously good idea. And university can be helpful in, adding lots of material, because they are teaching regularly, as far as I know. Still, I'm not in that mode, but they are teaching, so they have lots of material also, so they can add. Only one thing what, I think, that the people like who are new to this, field, or they are, trying to learn lots of things, they need guidance, like, person like Vladimir ji, particularly when we are talking about knowledge and imparting Sri Aurobindo's philosophy. So right now, when Vladimir ji, when he was explaining all the things, particular sincerity, uh, the lots of things came into my mind, and I started adding. I started, uh, adding lots of, stories which are available, and that first person, second person, third person inquiry, that gave me rather more idea. And what I was going through, the module which universities shared with me for my to gain knowledge, was totally different. So if Vladimir ji add his own videos, or people like Vladimir ji who are really knowledgeable can add videos in that knowledge bank, and particular topic they can explain, or they talk about it, that will give lots of, clarity to the people who are working in university, people like me particularly, I feel. And this is tremendously amazing idea, because before joining I was preparing, and I was, fiddling around the websites which are available, and I was reading from here and there. One more thing comes into my mind, that whenever the bank is ready, I mean, the almost, when we feel that this is good, which we can deliver, or which we can share with our participants, if we can publish something, which is not there. When we talk about science of living, there is nothing like, a published book or published material is available there. So if we get that, lots of people will get benefited by that.
Yeah.
That's what I feel. And because Radhe ji presented here, and I could see that, and I can explore that, it will give me lots of idea, and it will keep on, I'll be able to keep on adding in it, or, according in Indian environment, I'll be able to use it. So if books are available there, then it will be wonderful. That is what I'm feeling.
Wonderful, thank you. This is great, actually good ideas. We will come to this, that we will make these booklets or the books with whatever methodology, once it is kind of put into the format which is deliverable or understood. And so we have to find the most efficient form to convey this growth of inner values towards the surface of consciousness, so to say. Once we find that form, that it is not too heavy, not too mental, it has to be also, it has to be felt or understood, or realized through the words. There has to be more insightful way of explaining it with less words and more meaning, as it were. So once we find that form, it will be published, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric, Seema, something to reflect upon or some ideas?
One thought had come to my mind is collaboration, the collaboration part, maybe between others, Sri Aurobindo, or centers across the world. Have we ever thought of that, or do we think that would be like something that would be beneficial for us as well as them?
Definitely, we we want to build a network. Actually, we are starting thinking about these two centers, Surat and our Lagras, and then Pondicherry, of course, Auroville, which we have contact with because I am Aurovillian, and Pondicherry Ashram. And also there are more centers. There is Delhi Center, there is Gnostic Center, there is Delhi Ashram, there are Sri Aurobindo Society centers all over India and the world. There's Singapore Sri Aurobindo Society Center, which we are part of. There are many centers which we would like to include into this network. We have to start developing some knowledge bank which will be useful for them to join. We cannot join them on the ground of political kind of a movement because we are all Sri Aurobindo people. Let's hold our hands. It doesn't work that way. We have to share something valuable, and then they will join happily. And we will join them happily because there will be something to discover, something to do together, rather than let us join and then do something together. Yeah. So of course,
For sure.
Yeah, it's a very important to build a network. I agree totally. I was always for this network, and there are more. SAKAR, there is IPI, Indian Psychology Institute, there is SAKAR, Sri Aurobindo Center for Advanced Research with Anand Reddy. There are other centers which are there, and we can have relations with, and even more, like in Bangalore, we have Sri Vivekananda University, with which we have very good relations, or Chennai IIT, they have the whole center for karma yoga. We have contacts with these people, and we can develop with them relations. And there is a psychology department in Delhi University with people we know with whom we work for many years, and more. Like in Canada, we have in Toronto the psychology department, and so on and so forth. I don't want to mention all of them, but there are centers with whom we can work once we have something like we can offer to them. When they look into these modules, can you imagine? They can use them for their own. We will create modules for the courses, and you can tailor them in accordance with your needs.
Right. Yeah. That would be I'm thinking that's going to be very, very a unique idea, I think, that many people may not have come across, or have that kind of resource. But another thing I was thinking also is that maybe for some of our purposes, that we can learn from what they're doing already, so that we don't have to recreate the wheel, kind of, and build upon it, make it better, make it more efficient, make it more robust, of a method of maybe activities or materials that we can use.
Absolutely. And that's what Eric is doing. Eric, you may say a few words about this, about your kind of mapping out all the activities, all the profiles, all this what you did, such a marvelous work that we can see what is happening in the world, where the world is moving. It should not stop us from creative thinking of our own. That's what we should not be drawn only to the world, what the world is doing. We have to kind of follow our own heart, as it were. But we have to see all the possible materials, all the possible tools, all the possible courses, approaches. Once we are very well established in our own, it becomes very useful. We can find the explanation, the meaning to those what is happening in the world. Eric, few words about this. Would you like to say? Or maybe something else, some other ideas you have in mind. So please go ahead.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I like that distinction that you just made there, Vladimir, about wanting to partner with and learn from what people are already doing, but not to allow our own vision to be cluttered by what's already happening out there, to create something new, and then to kind of see how the other things that have been developed already, may weave through whatever framework we have, so that something really brand new can happen here, instead of just building on the past, but nonetheless also not wanting to recreate the wheel at the same time. So I think walking on that razor's edge will be a fascinating process for sure. Yeah, I think this is a fascinating project. There's a lot of opportunity to integrate, I think, the philosophy itself as the features of the website. So even as we're looking here on Microsoft, we're in Microsoft Word, that Vladimir is sharing with us. And so we see things, home, insert, design, layout. These are all like what? They're all about what you can do. But the teachings of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother kind of describe the real essence and the vision and the why. It really stems from knowledge, and from the knowledge comes the power and the harmony and the perfection. And so if imagine, instead of seeing home, insert, design, layout, we saw, knowledge, power, harmony, and perfection. And you can navigate software using actual features that are themselves the philosophy, that are themselves the teaching. The 4 powers of the Mother could be your interface. You could click on each one of the 4, and you could find out the knowledge aspect of absolutely anything that may exist, how that may harmonize with anything else in this system. So these are some of the things that I've been thinking about, of making the philosophy itself the features, not just in a text format, but as the actual interface. And so I feel like it's going to reveal itself to us. I don't know how that's going to look, but there will be some way that there's an integration to the whole system. I know that Shardhalu one time said in a video, I can't remember which one, but the way that he was differentiating the terms of holistic and integral was that, and this was just his own way of characterizing it, I don't know who else may have said it, but that with something that's holistic, you may take everything into account, or all of the things into account. But if something is integral, not only are they taken into account, but there's a coherence to their totality as well. And I think that's going to be the real trick. Right now, we're gathering all of these things in a holistic manner, and we do that and create, in a sense, like a knowledge bank that's holistic. But to find the way where they actually stem through some total vision, that's going to have to come not from the mind, but from an intuition, to see their integrality. And so I'm really curious just to see what emerges outside the mind. What kind of significance is here? I feel like this software is some kind of significance or real idea or essence exists. And it's going to have to show itself to us so that we know what its integrality is. And as we go, we can be operating holistically by gathering all the various different things, knowing that at some point it will show itself to us. So that aspect of effort on a holistic level, but then surrendering to find out how will those parts show themselves to be integrally related, and how can we use the actual symbols of the Mother. The symbol of the Mother, in a sense, could be your homepage. And so like the Wheel of Life graphic itself would be the interface, in the way that when we see the interface of Microsoft, this platform could be itself an interface based on the teachings of integral yoga. So that's just a little idea how that's going to come together. I certainly do not know, but that would be the ideal as I'm feeling into it right now. And so to create some sort of outline of action steps of seeing out into the future, imagining what it might be, and then working our way backward to the present moment and coming up with, you know, a detailed plan of next steps, you know, for each one of us, because January 10th is coming up pretty quick and March 31st is pretty soon too. So, which is great. But yeah, so I'm just curious about, you know, practical next steps, you know, envisioning where we are in the future and then working our way backward and just kind of seeing how that may come together. So, yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, if you look at this first, second, and third person inquiry, you would see the same gradation in this because you know, knowledge, power, harmony or bliss and truth. These are the fundamental transcendental entities which are all interwoven here in this world. You cannot find only knowledge without power and only power without knowledge. You will not find them in the pure sense, so it will be very approximate. But you will see the same tendency trend. So sincerity, and this is the first, it's kind of knowledge, knowing, yes? Whereas application of it comes later, so to say, in power. It will have to be, it has to empower speech, thought, feeling, emotions, actions. So it will be empowering them, and then you will see that this harmonization or this application of this bliss will take place in communication, relations, work, activities, and then finally the perfection of it should take in politics, economics, culture, education, and so on, in the systems outside. You will see the same trend being seen through these, because we can't think otherwise. It's the only way from the inner towards the outer, from the most subjective to the most objective. And it is exactly inbuilt in these four powers of the mother. You can see it. Sat, Chit, Ananda, and Vijnana. Or Sat-Chit, Tapas, Ananda, and Vijnana. Great, very nice, very good observations. Thank you, Eric, for this beautiful input, insight. So, shall we maybe stop at this beautiful moment of uplifted, or you want to say something more? Yeah? Radhe, or anybody, please conclude.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank you then. So we will meet next time and we will continue. Then there will be something more to say, something more to look into, some new insights. We already have some kind of framework methodology. This is methodology, which I was presenting, how we can really make it, yeah? And how it will work from subjective towards objective, and how it can be useful then in politics, economics, because once we build that bridge between the most subjective and application, then that bridge can be always referred to by all those who are involved in politics, economics, and so on. Yeah? They can rebuild it within themselves and can benefit from it in their field of endeavor. All right, we can stop then here, and then we will meet next time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.